Global media Oprah Winfrey says this about life. The more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is life to celebrate. The more there is in life to celebrate. My guest today is a force to be reckoned with. I didn't know that. Miss Matsi Modise is a World Economic Forum Global Sherpa and the Managing Director of SiMODiSA. Is that correct?
That's correct.
SiMODiSA. Industry association whose mission is to accelerate entrepreneurship in South Africa. Only in South Africa or in Africa?
Well, I would say in Africa as well.
Welcome to Makamba Life.
Thank you, James.
Yes. So what would you like to tell us about yourself first?
I'd like to tell you that I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also an entrepreneurship activist. I'm somebody that's very passionate about South Africa, somebody that's very passionate about the continent, and somebody who's not just standing on the fence and is an active citizen who's going to empower entrepreneurship as a way forward towards growing our country's economy.
And I would say, where did your passion for entrepreneurship begin?
I would say, I come from an entrepreneurial family, so that's the genesis of my.
Give us that little background.
So my mom, and actually maybe let me say my grandmother, till this day, who's 84 years old, is still selling cosmetics. And,
wow.
Every morning she'd wake up, wear her red lipstick, and go collect her money or go sell products. My mom, when we were growing up, she'd be somebody who, by training, is an accountant, but she was probably the first person in our town to start a hair salon, a hair salon that had, massages and nails. And back in those days, those were not familiar industries or familiar environments, and my mom would be very enterprising. And my grandmother would always talk about how when my mother and her siblings grew up, she baked some scones in the morning, and she said, go and sell because this is how we're going to eat in the evening. So coming from that kind of environment has really, really inspired me, and it has also been a great example of how you can actually wake up and do it yourself. You don't have to wait for your country to empower you. You can actually empower yourself and empower everybody else.
Amazing. You talk of scones, I straight away think of fat cooks. I know a lot of ladies who paid school fees, baking fat cooks. But these were specifically scones, not fat cooks.
These are scones.
Okay. Can you bake some?
I can, of course.
One of these days. For the purpose of our viewers who may not know what the World Economic Forum is, and please tell us about the forum and your work as a global Sherpa, please.
Wonderful. So the World Economic Forum is committed to making changes in the world. It's an environment where world leaders from the government, from corporates, business leaders, and civil society come together and they engage around matters involving the world. And so it's been established for many, many years. You have Professor Klaus Schwab, who's the founder of the World Economic Forum, and he's somebody that basically felt that let me create a platform where different minds, different environments can come and convene and then discuss how do we make the world a better place.
Is he Swiss or German?
He's Swiss German.
Okay.
He's Swiss German. And essentially
the town where the World Economic Forum takes place, is that his hometown?
No, it's not his hometown.
What's the story behind the choice of
Davos.
Davos
is essentially the Oscars of the business world.
Okay.
Once a year, everybody comes to the small skiing town in Switzerland. It's in the middle of nowhere, so it's quite a quaint Swiss village where people will come there once a year and get to deliberate on matters. And the reason why perhaps it was chosen there is that it's quite a small environment. It's very enclosed, it's very protected, and essentially that's where all the decision-making leaders of the world, from governments, from business, come together and discuss matters that influence the world, set the theme, set the pace. I had the privilege of going to Davos last year, and essentially that's where there were discussions around the fourth industrial revolution, basically talking about how everything is going digital and how everything is enabled by technology. And so for somebody who works with entrepreneurs in South Africa, it is very, very important to understand what does it mean for entrepreneurship in South Africa? What does it mean for South Africa as a country, and how are we going to progress and not be left behind as we go through the fourth industrial revolution? And so...
In the global Sherpa part of your World Economic Forum duties. Are you elected? Are you appointed as a global Sherpa?
You're nominated. So
who nominates you? What's the nomination process?
Basically, people that are already part of the forum would identify young leaders that are doing amazing things in their own fields. You could be a doctor, you could be changing lives, you could be an artist, and you could be driving certain narratives that are changing and impacting people. And so somebody from the forum who's already part of the organization would be able to identify, saying, this is a change agent. If this person and more of these people are able to come together and create that critical mass, the world would definitely be a different place. So the Global Shapers community was a great initiative that was introduced around 2012, and there's a narrative around the World Economic Forum as the biggest talk shop, where wealthy people come together and talk about everything else but do nothing about it. So with the introduction of the Global Shapers community, it was a function of, well, here's a bunch of young, energetic people that are doing amazing things in their own fields, and how now do we create hubs? So we have about more than 500 hubs across the world, making us more than 600 young people. And essentially being a global shaper means that you have to be in your community and you have to identify what are the challenges, how do I get like-minded people to come up with solutions, and how do we involve the community. So being the Global Shapers community really did put some substance to what the World Economic Forum is aiming to achieve.
Is there a country or continental quota to the nomination of the Sherpas?
Sure, so it's essentially...
For instance, in Africa or in Southern Africa, how many Sherpas do you have?
Well, we have hubs across the continent, so in all 54 countries on the continent.
And how are these funded?
Well, they're self-funded, they're self-managed. We have to look within our own community, identify challenges, and then say, within the World Economic Forum, who are the corporates that are aligned to our mission, who are aligned to wanting to solve this problem with us, and can they contribute financially. So we've worked, Coca-Cola has been one of the biggest contributors towards the hub, the Global Shapers community in general, and then locally as well. So if we identify a project within Soweto, a lot of it is self-funded. So I can make an example of there's an orphanage in Soweto called Utandweni that on an annual basis, during Easter, we would always host like an Easter party for the young kids. Bring like-minded global shapers to spend time with the kids. And also we run a series of mentorship Thursdays, whereby we come through and engage with the young people so that if they have any questions, if they have any aspirations, like-minded people will be able to talk to them and also...
So you go to them?
That's correct.
Is that one which I think the Ibama Foundation sponsored one of those?
Perhaps, yes, I think it is, yes.
Yes.
That's correct.
Of course, you are too important to know about what goes on. Your people in the office would know that. Tell me, lately there's been, now wearing your other hat, the South African umbrella of what? The organization that you lead?
SiMODiSA.
Explain that.
So SiMODiSA is an industry association for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Everybody that's within SiMODiSA have started and succeeded in business. And essentially, SiMODiSA is about creating that critical mass of entrepreneurship. How do we become an entrepreneurial nation? How do we encompass an entrepreneurial culture as a country? So SiMODiSA basically oversees the policy environment. It's very important that the policy that is set out needs to be enabling, needs to create an enabling environment for entrepreneurs to thrive. And then from a venture capital perspective, so early stage investments in South Africa is lacking. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for 10,000 rands, 50,000 rands, somebody to seed your idea, there are not a lot of people that can give you that. It's either you ask your family, friends, or your fools. And those are naturally the people that would be able to seed those ideas. So from a venture capital perspective, we feel that it's an industry that has to grow. We have to be able to seed these ideas that are going to contribute towards the economy. And then generally from an ecosystem building. So how do we build a community of entrepreneurs? There's a lot that South Africa has to offer entrepreneurs. However, everything is scattered. Everybody performs in silos and we don't necessarily collaborate well, which is why it's very difficult for entrepreneurs to access information, access opportunities, access mentorship. So SiMODiSA is about how do we bring that all together? How do we become the catalyst? How do we become the amplifier of what's happening? And also how do we become the golden thread that connects these opportunities for entrepreneurs?
Okay, so are you involved in the platform of Black economic empowerment?
Well,
as an organization?
Yes, I would say triple BEE for us is more around procurement opportunities, because within the codes of good practices, you have enterprise and supply development, which encompasses preferential procurement, and then also how do you integrate small businesses into corporate value chains or government value chains. So from that perspective, that's how we get involved, because if corporates in South Africa are able to start working with small businesses, that creates a market. People always say that access to funding is a challenge. You don't need funding, you actually need a market, because if you have a market, if you have paying clients, then you know that you're in business. Access to funding is something that you would require when now you need working capital, or you want to grow your business. So, but we definitely believe that one of the key things is we need to start creating and opening up markets so that entrepreneurs can grow, entrepreneurs can be nurtured by these big corporates.
So, is that inclusive of affirmative action? I say so because recently, as you know, there has been a push, lately to buy black, in South Africa. Is this part of your activity?
Well, to be honest, James, it's not a unique focus point. We just see entrepreneurship as entrepreneurship, but we do understand that we have to nurture a good pipeline of strong black businesses. And also we need to start creating that critical mass of black businesses that are sustainable. We need to start engaging black businesses in and say, well, your idea of a business should not be a spaza shop or a hair salon or a car wash. That's what everybody does in communities. How are we going to allow you to start thinking out of the box, to start creating solutions? Because if you're an entrepreneur, you're solving problems. You are providing solutions. So how do you look around your own community and start coming up with innovative ideas? Things that are not done. So we are basically working with initiatives such as the Innovation Hub. They have a big science park in Pretoria, but now they've established what you called Ikasi Labs, basically going into townships and creating centers whereby you can train them, centers whereby they have access to information, access to the internet, Wi-Fi, a working environment whereby they bring in people like myself and people like yourself, and you mentor them and you kind of encourage them to think out of the box.
Is this government funded?
The Innovation Hub is government funded. It's
funded.
one of those government initiatives that are doing very well. Because
would this be the Ministry or Department of Enterprises?
No, it's more from the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency, which is part of the
provincial government.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so you assist in identifying funding and training to your members. How do you move from there to stimulating the growth and purchase of black-owned products or produced?
Well, for us, it's a function of, like I said earlier on, there's no specific push around black buying black. We deal with entrepreneurship as entrepreneurship. However, for us to be able to stimulate black enterprises and black businesses, it's a function of us creating ecosystems within where they come from. It's not good for us to be here in Sandton and expect that for them to access opportunities and information, they have to come here. So my former organization was the South African Black Entrepreneurs Forum, and that was strictly working in townships, strictly working with black entrepreneurs, and strictly saying that we need more black entrepreneurs, we need more black participation within the economy. And basically what we did then was we would go and create environments where they can share knowledge, environments where they can share information, environments where we bring social capital into the communities, environments where we have information sessions with funders, with mentors, with people that have procurement opportunities. So if we do more of that, it's very, very important that that's how we're going to grow black businesses organically. I mean, there's a lot of talk around we need black industrialists, but we have to believe that black industrialists are not going to just come from nowhere. They have to be nurtured, and they have to be nurtured organically. And how do you nurture them? You give them the necessary skills. You open up the necessary opportunities. So the good thing about South Africa is that we have legislation like triple BEE in place, and it's for us to take advantage of. And as an entrepreneur, you shouldn't be somebody that should be given opportunities. Naturally, if you're an entrepreneur, you seek and create opportunities. So you can't be saying, I live in South Africa, yes, I'm female, yes, I'm black, and yes, I'm young, and now everything is at my disposal. There's a responsibility for you to wake up and to work very hard and to build your enterprises, because right now the challenge with funders is that there's no shortage of funding in South Africa. But the funders are the ones that are now saying we don't have enough good businesses to actually invest in.
Okay.
So you need to invest in your business. It needs to be investment ready.
Would you say that, I see now there's a push for a rapid economic transformation, radical economic transformation, and you have quite a few, advocates, who are preaching the gospel, on that. What would you say are the impediments prohibiting, the growth of black business in South Africa? According to the figures, some say as much as 90% of South African industry is still in white hands. This is 24 years down the independence lane, and only 10% is attributed, to black, ownership. What are the impediments?
I think for anything to work, James, and the genesis of anything that will succeed, it boils down to leadership. So if we've got great champions, if you've got great leaders, if you've got people that understand and also believe in achieving radical economic empowerment, it's very, very important that they are in place. So for us, it's understanding what does it mean from a leadership perspective. As you have noted, that South Africa has been independent since 1994, and still a small amount of people are benefiting economically or are active within our economy. So we have had our country for 23, 24 years, and what have we done to shift the needle? What have we done to ensure that our people's ability to actually take advantage of these opportunities is there? And it also boils down to education. You can't give somebody an opportunity that they cannot necessarily be involved in, because do they have the necessary skills to be able to do it? Do they have the necessary exposure? So education is a crux of our ability to have radical economic transformation. In our country. So leadership and education are very, very important in that regard.
If you were appointed Minister of Radical Economic Transformation, what would you do on day one?
Day one is do an analysis of what are the current blockages. I have identified education as one of them, and I would say, well, for us to be able to get the majority of this country contributing towards the economy, we need to have the necessary skills. Now, how are we educating our young people? Are we giving them skills of the future? Are we giving them skills that are given to them to be able to take advantage of these opportunities? South Africa is immense with opportunities. It's a function of, can they identify those opportunities? Once given that opportunity, can they actually conduct and shift the needle? Can they actually conduct and operate as people that are going to make a difference? So right now there's been a lot of activity, but as much as, let's say, you sit on a board as a young black person because transformation is important,
yes,
are you able to contribute significantly towards building that particular business? Do you have the skills, or are you just a token black? And I also believe that as much as you might be given that platform, it's your responsibility as that young black person to actually learn the industry, learn the company. If you know that I don't have the necessary skills, but I've been given this opportunity, you don't want to be that one person that has nothing to say or nothing to add. So it's your responsibility to go out there and learn. So as much as South Africa has a great ambition of doing a radical economic transformation, I think onus is on us as South Africans to be able to say, what does it require for me to get to that level where I can actually take advantage of these opportunities?
Fantastic. Do you have a life philosophy? And if you do, how does that guide you?
My life's philosophy is, Matsi, this is your dream, so pay the price. And essentially, that means that I have to work very hard. I have to, set myself apart from everybody else. I need to stick to my lane. I need to know what I'm good at and perfect that, and know what I'm not good at. But I also have to be inclusive. So Getting the right people around me is very, very important. Having the right kind of mentors that are there to support you, because the journey is tough. It's not an easy journey. Rising to different levels and altitudes in life is not an easy path. It's a very lonely path. But select a few people that you know they have your back. And working very, very hard is also very important, James. You have to put in the work. You have to put some meat in the game. Nothing is given. You have to create your opportunities. As much as South Africa has a lot to offer as young people, funding, opportunities, they're looking for us, you need to seek out those opportunities.
You need to get up and go and get it.
Absolutely.
Good. You've had mentors listening to you. If you were to name 3 people who you admire greatly and who have motivated you, who would they be, globally?
Okay, well, I'll start. Charity begins at home. So my mom has been quite an inspiration. Her successes, her challenges have inspired me. And she's somebody that has a very strong moral foundation. And she's always mentioned that, Matsi, the only thing you have to live on is your dignity and is your pride. So always maintain that and never compromise on that and those principles. And I would say I believe, globally, I admire people such as Bill Gates. It's probably a cliched thing to say, but he's somebody that never failed to believe in himself, never failed to believe in his ability. He's somebody that wasn't necessarily the best scholar. I mean, he's a dropout,
Yes.
a college dropout. And he never believed that because I'm a college dropout, I won't amount to anything, because he believed that his worth and ability was more than just a piece of paper. I have followed a similar journey. Yes, I am educated. I was fortunate enough to have parents that believed in my education.
What qualifications do you hold?
I have a BCom Finance and Marketing degree from Wits University.
Highly educated lady.
So, but I always believed that my degree is not what's going to make me in life. And I had many occasions where people would say, but you need to do an MBA. And I'm like, well, I don't need a piece of paper that's hanging on the wall to justify or verify my ability. And my security lies in my ability to provide for myself, not a corporate institution. Right now, young people need to start seeing themselves as, how am I going to be a job creator and not a job seeker? Corporate South Africa or corporate anything in the world, they're trying to hire less. Everything is going digital, so it means that human capital is going to be required less in corporate value chains. So you need to equip yourself with the ability to create your own and to create opportunities for other people.
Okay, it's been great and fascinating talking to you. As we say goodbye, would you like to look into the microphone and say a few words you feel you need to say to all our viewers today, as a way of saying goodbye?
Well, it's been a great privilege to be here. Mr. James Makamba, Dr. James Makamba, is somebody that's highly revered, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity. And what is it going to take for you to be sitting on this hot seat? Think about it.
Thank you very much. See you next time on another episode of Makamba Live.